on the YouTube.
Okay.
Okay, all set. Thank you.
All right. Okay, it is 6:02. We'll go ahead and call the regular Board of Education meeting to order. We will begin with the recitation of vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. Next, we do have a resolution on our agenda, the rainbow flag, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Ali Muldrow.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank my board colleague, Nikki Vandermeulen, for helping to co-author this resolution, as well as our legal counsel, Sherry, who was magnificently supportive, and Dr. Herding, who was incredibly available to this effort. So also always thank you, Barb, for putting all the pieces together for us as we worked on this. Rainbow flag resolution, whereas June is the time to celebrate our dynamic lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning community, raise awareness of quality services, and foster a dialogue to promote healthy, safe, and prosperous school climates and communities for all. And whereas in 1975, Madison became the first city in Wisconsin to ban discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. And whereas in 1982, Wisconsin became the first state to pass a gay rights law. And whereas 2 presidents of the United States have officially declared LGBT Pride Month. President Bill Clinton declared June Gay Lesbian Pride Month in 1999, and from 2000 and from 2009 to 2016, each year he was in office, President Barack Obama declared June LGBTQ Pride Month. I call upon all Americans to observe this month by fighting prejudice and discrimination in their lives and everywhere it exists, proclaimed 8529 by US President Barack Obama on May 28th, 2010. And whereas all children and youth should be able to attend school in safe and inclusive environments free from discrimination, and civil rights laws contributed to such environments. And whereas the lack of awareness and understanding of issues facing LGBTQ children and youth has contributed to higher rates of school dropout, academic failure, and school disengagement. And whereas education regarding LGBTQ issues increases understanding and cultivates respect for LGBTQ children and youth. And whereas policies that specifically mention sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression are associated with students feeling safer, lower levels of bullying, decreased instances of harassment related to sexual orientation, increased teacher/staff interventions, and greater reporting of incidents. And whereas Board Policy 4621B prohibits discrimination in its program and activities based on sexual orientation, gender identity, and gender expression, among other characteristics. And whereas the rainbow flag is also known as the LGBTQ pride flag and serves as a symbol of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning pride and the LGBTQ social movement. And whereas flying the rainbow flag throughout the month of June further symbolizes the district's celebration of diversity and support of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Madison Metropolitan School District recognizes the month of June as LGBTQ Pride Month and will begin the implementation of flying the rainbow flag at all of its buildings during the month of June to inspire equity and create alliances and celebrate diversity, establishing a safe environment in our schools and community. That is this resolution be distributed to every school in the district. Be it further resolved, this statement be permanently imprinted in the Board of Education minutes for the regular Board of Education meeting dated May 18th, 2020.
Yay, thank you, Ali, so much for leading us and reading that, putting all that together and leading us through that. So important. And it's so important, and it's just our commitment to our students and ensure that we have inclusive schools. And this is just one of our ways to be able to do that. So thank you, Ali, so much.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be the person to lead. And also at a time when Pride is being canceled, we get to hold on to the rainbow. So thanks, y'all.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Great. So next, these are always so hard. We do have a moment of silence tonight, and it is for Ethan Yoakum. And so we'd like just to take a moment of silence this evening for our district to recognize the passing of Ethan Yoakum, who was a junior at Shabazz City High School. Ethan was a gifted and generous young man who possessed a boundless capacity for empathy. While his keen wit, wry sense of humor, and contagious laughter often made him the life of the party, he was an exceptional confidant, and he championed those who needed a boost in life. Growing up, Ethan attended Midvale and Lincoln Elementary School, Hamilton Middle School, and also West High School. He was engaged in our school communities in so many ways and was also a voracious reader who knew how much about so many things. His love of learning and quest for esoteric knowledge was paralleled only by his abiding love and respect for those who were fortunate enough to be part of his world. Ethan's passing has taken a significant toll on so many students and staff across MMSD, and we remember him tonight. Please join me in participating in a moment of silence in honor of Ethan. Thank you. Next, we move on to the approval of minutes. I move to approve the minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting public input session dated April 27th, 2020. Can I get a second?
Second.
Sevian, second. All those in favor? Say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next, we have another motion to approve the minutes. I move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular board meeting dated April 27th, 2020.
Second.
Second, Savion. All right, Anika, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
News from around the district. We have a few announcements here. We have a student senate election. The board would like to acknowledge our outgoing 2019-2020 student senate members, Anika Sanyal, Board of Education student representative, and Rebecca Cutforth, student senate president and alternate Board of Education student representative. Their terms will end the last day of school on June 10th, 2020. And we want to thank both representatives for their hard work, determination, and commitment to our district. While this is Anika's last regular board meeting, she will finish out her term and attend both the work group meetings on June 1st and on June 8th. The election for the incoming student senate members for the 2020-21 school year will be held over 4 days at the end of May. We will announce the new members at the June 1st Board of Education Instruction Work Group meeting. The first meeting for the new representative will be the regular BOE meeting on June 22nd, 2020. So thank you, Anika, for your service, and we'll say our goodbyes in June, but yeah. Next, we have Kelly McCann from Thorough, Jane Danley from Nuestro Mundo, and Melissa Hernandez from LVM. Are receiving the Crystal Apple Award honors. NBC 15 Crystal Apple Award is marking its 25th year in 2020. WMTV received a record number of nominations with more than 650 total submissions, representing more than 400 schools across the WMTV viewing area. The board congratulates Thoreau Elementary School's Kelly McCann, a 2020's Crystal Apple Award winner, as well as Jane Danley of Nuestro Mundo Community School and Melissa Hernandez of LVM Elementary School, who each received honorable mention. Congratulations. We also want to acknowledge the donations and grants to support students during COVID-19 pandemic. As you know, we have had so many community members, partners who have stepped up to help us through this difficult crisis situation, and we are so very thankful for the outpouring of support for MMSD students and schools. We would like to take this time to publicly acknowledge the donors, grant makers, and individuals that appear on tonight's agenda for acceptance. We so appreciate their generous support to help make sure our students continue learning, growing, and having nutritious food available. UW-Madison Humorology Musical Variety Show for providing an initial gift of $35,000 to be followed by another $300,000 over the next 3 years for weekend snack packs for MMSD families through Blessings in a Backpack. A donation of $138K to fund nurse and social worker teams to work over the summer to support students with health conditions associated with poor outcomes from COVID-19. This project was funded through a COVID-19 response grant from the Wisconsin Partnership Program at the UW School of Medicine and Public Health. Madison Community Foundation, Rennebaum Foundation, American Family, and the Foundation for Madison Public Schools, Summit Credit Union, all supporting materials printing, distribution, and/or Wi-Fi internet access for MMSD students. Dane County Sheriff's Association, Cops for Kids program to help fund the emergent living needs for MMSD families. And finally, to all the people and organizations who are part of our monthly list of donors that help us out financially, anywhere from $5 to $10,000. Thank you very much for your support in this very critical time of need for our students and families. Next, I will hand it over to Superintendent Jane Belmore.
Thank you, Gloria. Good evening, everyone. MMSD has been in a virtual teaching and learning situation for 9 weeks now. And I wanted tonight to give you, the community, and the board an update on all things virtual at this point. We are continuing to implement plans for graduation. Schools have continued making special arrangements for students to pick up caps and gowns and send in their pictures. And again, we are so grateful for WISC TV for their generous work with MMSD to broadcast our graduations this year. And I want to give special thanks to Mike Hernandez, the Chief of High Schools, the high school principals and staff who are all working so hard to make this a special time for our seniors. We've also been busy planning some other end of the year activities, such as systems for students and families to safely drop off school issued items and to pick up items from students' lockers and desks. We're closely following public health guidelines for these activities, and there are many details being worked out that schools will be communicating with families. For some consistency, we are trying as much as possible to follow the original school calendar. The final day of school for students remains June 10th, the same day as noted on the original school calendar. Normally for high school students, they would be taking final exams this last week of school, and the final day of instruction for them would be June 3rd. This year, we are keeping their final day of instruction at June 3rd. However, as there are no final exams for high school only, the last week of instruction will be high school students and high school staff working to complete everything necessary for high school students to graduate or move to the next grade level. We have also finalized plans for summer school. Summer school will be virtual for grades 3 through 12, and we have created developmentally appropriate programs for elementary, middle, and high school students. More details will be going out to staff and families of students involved in summer school. MSCR summer programming and MMSD will be significantly different this year, with fewer programs serving fewer children. There will be a childcare opportunity for about 600 elementary students and continued virtual tutoring and mentoring programs for about 1,800 middle school students. Virtual offerings to the community will continue. However, face-to-face and in-person team sports, recreational activities, and camps, which we typically have thousands of people involved in, will not be happening this year. MSCR will continue virtual offerings to the community, and we will revisit recreational activities, camps, and sports events again later in the summer to see if there can be some changes there. So we've opened virtual teaching and learning for the district. We plan for grading and graduation. We plan for closing of schools, and we plan for summer school and summer programming, all in this unprecedented environment. I want to thank the Madison staff and community who have worked so hard to support all of us as we move through this time. I also want to address our work in planning for reopening schools this fall. We have a team dedicated to researching this issue, collaborating with other school districts and state and local officials, as well as the Department of Public Instruction, to develop guidance that will drive many of our decisions related to fall school planning. A part of this work will be gathering more feedback from students, families, and staff about their experience with virtual learning, and that feedback will be used to inform our decision-making. We are considering a variety of configurations, and we are doing our best to make concrete plans and timelines for school this fall to share with the community as soon as possible. But this will take time, and we do ask for your grace and patience, continued grace and patience, as we move through this planning. Due to the nature of COVID-19, much of our timeline for planning is affected by external factors, such as the forward gain plan that just came out today. All our plans for fall, just as for the current things we have planned for, are grounded in health and safety and equity first. So those three factors are really, really grounding our planning. We may have scenarios that are in buildings, totally virtual, or we may even see scenarios where we go in and out of buildings and virtual learning, either by building, by district, by specific student groups, or even by individual student. So we're having to plan for a lot of different scenarios. So our plans will need to be very flexible, giving us the ability to adapt to either environment in a number of configurations in a very short period of time. Finally, I want to address that within the complexities of the decisions we're making now, we recognize that significant shifts may have to occur in our community and in our nation's thinking about education as we move forward. We know that MMSD is one of the largest employers in our city, and as such, our decisions have economic impact. We are being very mindful of our fiduciary responsibilities to the community and are working through the complexities that changing expenses and funding patterns will bring. We are working closely with the board to ensure our district will be well prepared for the fall of 2020 and beyond, as the fact remains that a healthy school district is essential to a healthy community. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Belmore. Next, we move on to items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on May 4th. Ananda?
Thank you, President Gloria. So our last work group was held on May 4th, and we covered updates about Title IX. We also covered mandatory reporting and the recent revisions of the behavior education plan. We had a very rich conversation about all those items, in particular, because I know many of my colleagues feel really strong about many of them. And in particular, we had quite a bit of discussion on the behavior education plan. Not only just the updates, but also the efficacy of the plan and how do we continue to address the disturbing racial disparities that we see in our school district, in particular regarding to discipline. We had quite a few questions also from board members. So board members wanted to do any other follow-up, they can review the answers to the questions. And for our next meeting, we are going to be more extensively, and I appreciate Superintendent Belmore giving us an update on virtual learning, because I know that is a question in the minds of a lot of our parents, and what's happening for the fall. It's in all our minds too. How do we support the school district as we prepare for the fall? We wanted to ensure the community that we are ahead of any other school district in the state of Wisconsin. No offense to other school districts, but I feel really confident on how our team is positioned, to our planning, to our scheduling, how we're going to make sure that we support our teachers in this sort of long-term transition that we're about to embark, as well as any policy and employee handbook changes that are emerging due to the current pandemic. So for the next instruction work group, we're going to be, as a board, discussing the plans. We received the updates for summer, which are already being rolled out, but we're having a more extensive conversation about how are we setting up for 2021 school year, in particular because we're hoping that by then we'll also have more guidance from the state. I know that those changes have been coming on a weekly basis. So many things have been changing, and it gives a lot of uncertainty for both educators and parents. And so we wanted to make sure that we take that moment to have a public conversation about how we're framing our 2021 school year, and also hear questions and concerns, and making sure that the board has a collective conversation about this. Thank you so much, President Gloria and Vice President Lee Muldrow, for allowing me to take a little bit more time than I usually take to this update. But next month, instruction work group meeting is going to be extremely critical, and we're really excited to continue to collaborate with our team to ensure another very successful school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananda, for that update. And now we're going to move on to operations work group. A report out on that, Chris Carusi.
Thank you, Gloria.
So the operations work group met on May 11th, and we talked about the budget, the referendum, and the handbook process. In terms of the budget, the overarching theme, and this will continue to be the overarching theme, was uncertainty. We talked about a possible budget repair bill. We talked about all of the uncertainties related to COVID-19 and how this is going to lead to potential changes to our regular budget timeline. We're still going to be voting on the draft preliminary budget in June. We probably will see more changes than usual before we take a final vote on the budget and the tax levy in October. We talked about the amendment process for the budget, and we also talked about the process for getting and receiving community feedback. Kelly did bring up that in the past, we consistently hear from the community that under budget stress, we need to stay focused on classrooms and children and also on equity. And we want your feedback. If you are interested in providing input on any aspect of the budget, you can go to the MMSD website, and in the little slider, you will get to a slide on the budget where you can click and get to a form where you can provide us with feedback. Alternatively, you can also just email the board. As far as the referendum goes, we talked about the timing for a possible vote on putting both an operating referendum and a capital or buildings referendum on the November ballot. The deadline for making that decision and taking that vote is August 17th. We also talked about the possibility of doing some more polling around community opinion on the referendum. We have a committee that is assisting us with making, understanding where the community stands on the referendum. And it was the advice of that group that we probably should do more polling because the, people's lives have changed so dramatically since COVID-19 struck in March. Finally, we talked about the handbook process. We basically just got an overview of what that process will be, and we will probably be voting on changes sometime in the next couple of months, depending on how the process moves forward. Our next meeting is scheduled for June 15th. Please note that that is a change in date. It was originally scheduled for June 8th, but it will now be on the 15th. And we will be talking about the draft preliminary budget again, gearing up for a vote at the end of the month, as well as our authorized transportation policy, policy 5111, and the referendum. And that's my report. Thanks, Gloria.
Great. Thank you, Chris, for that report out. Next, we move on to action items that proceeded through the instruction work group. And as Nanda mentioned, we went through the behavior education plan and the revisions. And so I move that the Board of Education approve the changes to the behavior education plans for the elementary, middle, and high school levels as set forth in the documents prepared for the regular Board of Education meeting dated May 18th, 2020.
Second.
Savion, second. Any discussion? Nikki? And then Savion, and then Chris.
Sorry, I got on mute. Am I unmuted? Yes. Very simply, I'm okay with some of the revisions. I agree that vaping is a 2, and I'm thrilled that that went back to a 2. Here's my one problem with all of it. I am still voting for this, but I'm really worried on videotaping and punishing someone for videotaping a fight and sharing it on the internet. I'm worried about the First Amendment implications. I'm also worried that it'll be used to discipline primarily students of color, and also could be used that in cases of abuse or bullying that we have no way to prove that that behavior existed. And that's what I worry about. I know you guys have suffered through a lot of stories on me, but you're going to suffer through one tiny one, and that is, I wish there was a camera during some of those times when I was bullied, because I wouldn't have gone through some of what I went through. They would have caught the kids who flipped my desk over while the teacher stood there and did nothing, or tried to throw me down the window, down the window well, or down a flight of stairs. I wish I had someone who could have recorded it. although painful, at least I would have had proof. And that's what I'm afraid, if we allow this and punish this behavior, we're taking away our students' voice, and that's what scares me.
Thank you, Nikki. Savion?
Yeah, I just wanted to express my graciousness to the team, especially to Bryn Martina, Director for Progressive Discipline, on incorporating some of the changes to the BEP and how we can encourage students to engage in more healthy behavior, i.e. not vaping, and taking this as a public health issue. So I do share some of Nikki's concerns, but really, pleased to see that we're moving away from punitive punishment in a public health situation.
Thank you, Savion. Chris?
I want to echo what Savion just said. I am glad that we made some changes to the policy on vaping, and we're focused on education. At the same time, I am now concerned that we're inconsistent in our policies on drugs, because we know that kids are vaping THC, and based on how I read this policy, vaping THC is now going to have different consequences than possessing or smoking pot. And to me, that seems inconsistent. So I thought we should at least discuss this before we vote on it. I don't know if we'd want to add a statement to our BEP policy on vaping that it doesn't include vaping devices that include THC, just for the sake of consistency with how we deal with that drug.
Do we have anybody on staff who can respond to that or clarify those differences?
Jay, are you here? Jay or Bryn? It's hard to tell who's here. Lisa, maybe you can respond.
I am not seeing them in the.
I am seeing Lisa. So what is your question again?
Mike, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I was just going to say, I believe that Jay would respond if Bree wasn't available. So I'm checking on that.
So what was your question, Chris?
I would just like to know how we're going to handle vaping devices that contain THC. Will they be treated as a vaping device, or will they be treated as marijuana? And if they're treated as a vaping device, that means we're taking a drug and we're treating it differently depending on how it's delivered, whether it's smoked or whether as pot, or whether it's vaped as THC. And to me, that feels inconsistent. I think we need to be consistent in how we handle drugs in our schools. So.
Jay, do you have thoughts on that? Did you hear the question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hold on just 1 second.
Okay. Oh, Bryn's here too.
Okay, sorry. I had YouTube in one ear and Zoom in the other. Now I'm much better. Yeah, is Bryn in the, yes, there's Bryn. Bryn, do you want to take this first and I'll jump in afterwards?
Gotta unmute, Bryn.
There you go.
Oop. Now good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. I had the same issue with YouTube going, and now I'm just here. Yes, thank you for that opportunity to clarify. It's now basically the same as it has been this year. So if it's clear that THC or marijuana is being used in a vaping device, it'd be addressed under the marijuana behavior. And if it is simply that a student is caught using a vaping device and we don't know what's in it, then it would be captured under electronic smoking device.
If a student is using a vaping device and we don't know what's in it, I assume we're going to try to find out what's in it, because I think there's different levels of support needed if students are using marijuana versus if they're vaping.
Yeah, Chris, our protocol whenever it's assumed or believed that a student may be under the influence, we involve the nurse for a health assessment. And then it's through that process that we would determine whether or not the student was under the influence of something other than tobacco.
I appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Thank you both for jumping off YouTube and jumping on board meeting.
Yeah, thank you. You know, and I'll just say before we vote, I think, you know, it pains me to have to, you know, go through and talk about behavior and discipline. And unfortunately, that is where we're, you know, we're at. We have to do better around education, particularly educating our Black and Brown students. That is going to really help and alleviate some of the behavior problems that we are seeing in our schools, right? Not only education, but also, you know, providing an inclusive environment for our students. And so we are here, we have to figure out how we're going to respond to behaviors in our schools. We need to do this, but it's definitely not an answer for all, and we have to do better in early childhood education and education as a whole. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you, the team, for spending so much time on these revisions, and I think we are ready for a vote.
I have a quick question to Bryn.
Go ahead, Nikki.
I just have a quick question for Bryn, if she's still there. My question is there any way we could add a sentence saying that if the video is being used for safety reasons to show bullying or abuse, that the person isn't suspended?
I think that's the type of thing, and this is just my initial impression, but I'll see if Jay wants to weigh in too. That's the type of thing that we would typically address through our guidance. So I don't think that we need an additional sentence in the policy itself to be able to address those scenarios where there's a reason for something outside of the norm or outside of the reason why we have that behavior called out in the behavior education plan.
Yeah, I agree. I think the point is good, and I think it's absolutely something that we can focus on through our guidance. You know, and recognizing that there were safety implications that resulted in the original language that was brought by both students and families. And so I think making sure that our school staff are clear on best ways to implement the policy as written, I think will be where we need to be.
Great.
Gloria, I think Ali had her hand up.
Ali, did you have something?
No, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, great. Okay, let's go. All those in favor? Anika, you invited her?
Aye.
Okay. All those in favor, raise your hand so I can see them. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. Next to action items that proceeded through the operations work group, and that was nothing. So now we're on to the consent agenda. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in the section 9 of the electronic agenda prepared for the May 18, 2020 regular school board meeting, exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his or her affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second.
Who did the second? Ananda?
Ali.
Ali, okay. Any separations? Chris?
9.15.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
9.15.
9.15.
I believe, and sorry,
Go ahead, Nikki.
I believe 9.7 it is that the AIG, the polling?
9.8.
9.8 then.
Yep, okay, 9.8. Anything else? Okay, we are separated 9.5 and 9.8. although, Anika, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye, raise your hand. Okay, any opposed? Okay, motion passes. All right, now we move on to 9.5.
It was actually 9.15.
Sorry, 9.15.
Is the donation for Wi-Fi internet, and I just need to declare a conflict of interest and abstain from this vote. My employer has a significant partnership with American Family Insurance.
Great, okay.
Chris, can I just clarify that you're recusing yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I'm recusing from this vote.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. I move that the Board of Education accept the following donations to support materials, printing, distribution, and/or Wi-Fi internet access for MMSD students during the COVID-19 pandemic. American Family, 20,000, Foundation for Madison Public Schools, up to 25,000, Renabound Foundation, up to 50,000, Madison Community Foundation, 50,000, and Summit Credit Union, 2,000. Can I get a second?
Second, Nikki.
Okay, Nikki, second it. Anika, your advisory vote?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, motion passes with Chris recusing herself on the vote. So next, 9.8. Go ahead, Nikki.
As much as I'm worried financially of the cost of this poll, I think hearing the community, as much as I had reservations, and I did have reservations, hearing from the community, I think will be invaluable because times have changed. What I'm afraid of is I don't want this as a way to gut the referendum, but only to assist the referendum. Was saying that. That's all I wanted to say on that issue.
Great. Okay, thank you, Nikki. All right. 9.8. I move that the Board of Education approve the ALG research proposal on the amount of $19,100 for an annual total of $39,000 using funds from 2018-2020 Building Services Long Range Facility Planning Budget. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, Anika, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor, show your hands so I can see them. Okay, motion passes. Any opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay.
7-0, thank you.
And other items, none. So other reports from the board, and it's, yeah. City Madison Education Committee, Ananda?
We're still in recess due to the pandemic.
Okay. Student Senate?
So our last meeting, we talked about mental health and then what virtual learning was like for us. And then this Wednesday, we're planning on having a forum for the candidates to discuss their thoughts on school policies and what they want to do.
Hey, Anika, will we see what your discussion around how virtual learning is going for you?
Yeah, Student Senate can prepare something if you guys are interested in that.
I think that'd be
Yes.
great. Thank you. MSDR, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Anika, I just want to point out that Anika is running for president of Student Senate, so good luck to you.
Good luck, Anika.
Good luck.
Good luck,
Thank you.
Anika.
MSCR, Nikki, anything?
We are still on hiatus due to the pandemic.
Okay, great. Okay, not great, but thank
Yeah, I understand.
Get those votes, Anika.
Okay, so under other business, we're gonna change our regular meeting for the month of June. So this is an action item. So I move that the Board of Education approve the following date change for the June 2020 regular board meeting to June 29th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Can I get a second?
Second,
Nikki,
Nikki.
second. Okay, any discussion around this? Okay, all those, Anika, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Thank you.
Yep. There is no old new business. Seriously, it is 6:46? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I had to look twice
Just in
too.
time for dinner.
Whoop, whoop.
Okay, all right, well, thank you all. Great evening and,
Great job, board. Yay.
okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Ananda.
Ananda. Okay, Anika, your
Second.
advisory vote?
Aye.
Oh, and I'm sorry, Chris, I did a motion to adjourn, so Ananda motion, Christina second. And Nika advisory vote, yes. Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.